Sahanau bhunaktu saha viryam karavavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. In the study of the Bhagavad-Gītā, although it is a Shastra of redemption, mokṣa Shastra, what is it not? Karma Shastra. It is not Karma Shastra, what is it? Mokṣa Shastra. Even though the Bhagavad-Gītā is a mokṣa Shastra and the student who is studying it is moksharthi, wanting moksha. Still, the everyday life has to be led, and even the jignasu, the mumukshu, looks for some comfort, some source of being embraced by the Lord. That is very much needed, even though one is on the track to not need any such assurance. What is one growing towards? Atmani eva atmana tushtaha. Kathopanishad, correct? No. So, Atmani eva atmana tushtaha, second chapter. The one who is happy being oneself by oneself. That is the goal. But then, on the way, one is needing some kind of assurance. Even yesterday or the day before, we had a satsang question. What was that? How do we know that the prayers are being listened to? It's a very important question. How do we know that, I'm writing letters to God, to Bhagavan, to Ishvara. Are they being answered? Are they being heard? And also, 18 chapters of the Bhagavad-Gītā, I seem the same. I don't feel like I have made any progress. It's very difficult to ascertain spiritual progress. Have I grown is a very difficult question. See, in a different way, after everyday Bhandara, I have grown. That's a different thing. So, that growth is there. That is easy to objectify. But this growth, this inner growth, which is sukshma, subtle, not easy to objectify. So, there are certain gems in the Bhagavad-Gītā which are strewn carelessly throughout the text. And it takes an eye of a saint to be able to look for them and make them into a garland, a necklace. Swami Shivananda ji, he made this necklace. And I think it is a very beautiful set of verses. And when we see them, we will see why they are important. And we will see why they help us and how they help us to make a commitment, to strengthen our commitment to be on the path of this inner so-called journey to ourselves, really speaking. It also helps us to ascertain where we are on this journey. It also helps us to gauge our own progress. Because as we have seen in the 14th chapter on the gunas, and especially and the 16th chapter on Daivi Sampat and Asuri, don't call it Sampat, okay? But that's what it is called. But Sampat means treasure. Here, Asuri Vritti. Asuri Vritti is okay, yeah. Even Acharya Swamiji says Asuri Vritti. So Daivi Sampat and Asuri Vrittayaha. So even there we saw what are those things for? To understand myself, not to judge other people. This person has tamas. I am sitting this side next to an asura and this side next to a tamasic person. That's not the idea. So too, these verses that help us to somehow be comforted and held by Mother Shruti are again for our own ashvasanam, for our own comfort, for our own consolation, for our own assurance. And then that is the purpose of these verses, and put together they are called Pratijñā-Gītā. Very nice name for it. Pratijñā-Gītā is not some other Gita. We have many other Gitas. Uttara Gita, Rama Gita, Uddhava Gita, all these things we have. So Pratijñā-Gītā is not another Gita. It's the same Gita that we know and love and we have been studying. But out of this, some verses are taken and made into a beautiful garland. Woven into a garland, we can say, or woven into a blanket. What kind of blanket? Security blanket. Pratijñā has two meanings in the Shastra, in the Sanskrit language. Pratijñā is, as we have seen in the Upanishad and all, it means thesis statement. Sadeva Somya idam agre asit ekameva dvitiyam. Idam agre, before this Jagat was manifest, it was in an unmanifest form, it was. What was it? It was Sat. That which is now Jagat was Sat, it is still Sat, but this is how it was. This is called Pratijñā, Maha-Pratijñā. The whole entire 6th chapter of the Chandogya Upanishad is there to unfold this statement. The word Pratijñā also has another meaning. What is the meaning? Promise. Promissory note. You know? Where is the promissory note? Where have we encountered it? Where? No, the word promissory. Where have we encountered the word promissory note? Currency, exactly. Yes, don't get all Vedantin. Yes. So, money. Behind the money, I promise to pay the bearer sum of 1 rupee. 1 rupee notes are endangered species, almost extinct, not even there. With some elderly people they'll have. You can go and see 1 rupee, 2 rupees. Who has seen? Nobody has seen the notes. That's why it's called notes. In America it's called bill. That's different. Here it's called note because actually it's a promissory note. And so if you take this 1 rupee note and demand the promise, whatever it says, they will give you something invisible and they will ask you to look under the microscope. There should be a small amount of gold because it's against the gold standard. So this is what is called promissory note, meaning that there is truth to this. There is it cannot be not honored. It is not a lie. It is the truth. And so here also we have 7 or 8 promissory verses. Satyam idam, Bhagavan's Ghoshana. And when we look at this Ghoshana, there is an assurance and there is a happiness and there is a feeling like I am on the correct track. Thank God for these verses. This is how the feeling is. So this Pratijñā is to be taken in the second sense, not in the sense of a thesis statement, but in the second sense of a promissory Gita. Why should the Shruti promise anything? Shruti need not promise anything. It can just say Tattvamasi, bye-bye. That's all it needs to say. It needs to reveal the Shastra through the use of the word what? The Shabda. Through the Shabda Pramana, it needs to reveal and then go away. That's all it needs to do. Why should it promise anything? Does it need to promise anything? No. But yet, it does. Why? Because the person who is studying the Shruti is still a weak mumukshu. Weak mumukshu means questioning, self-doubt, fear, and a certain hesitancy, a diffidence. Am I doing the right thing? Will I get something out of this? What if this knowledge suddenly goes away? I have done so much. I have done whole 6 months course. After I go home, will the knowledge go away? And what should I do if it goes away? How to catch it? All these things. The promise is needed for the jiva that has uncertainty about itself. And this uncertainty alone is the reason why the Shruti does not just give the knowledge and go away, but also attends to the pratibandhas, means the obstacles through which this knowledge might not go in. And one of the pratibandhas is one's own diffidence, one's own hesitancy, one's own fears, one's own troubles, problems, one's own kind of blocks, resistance. The fear causes resistance. And so, the promise here immediately helps me to at least go to the next chapter. Because that's why the promises are strewn all over. That's why it's not just one garland in one chapter, all the promises. If they were exhausted, then I would forget these promises and then I would not have anything to go by. So the promises deliberately are strewn over the whole Bhagavad-Gītā, and the way Swami Shivananda has assembled them are not in order because he has something in mind, and then that will be revealed. And so this is how the verses of the Pratijñā-Gītā they proceed. The promises are of course around the main themes, which is what? Karma Yoga as a lifestyle, and then the vision of no division, the vision of oneness, which is the vision of the Shruti given by the Bhagavad-Gītā. The promises center around these two main themes of the Bhagavad-Gītā, also known as what? Brahma Vidya and Yoga Shastra, Karma Yoga Shastra. So then which are these verses? You can write them down and then slowly we will chant each one of them. And again, as I said, it's not in order. We will write them down exactly as it has been thought about, and you will see that there is this thing. 240, 640, 2.40, 6.40. I'm not telling the time. Okay, 9:31, 9:22, 4:36, 18:65, 12:7, and then 18:66. 8 verses in total. And then with this introduction, when we open to verse number 40 of the second chapter, we will chant this together. Tell me when you are ready. Neha bhikramanashosti pratyavayo na vidyate स्वल्पमप्यस्य धर्मस्य त्रायते महतो भयात्. This is centered on the Karma Yoga. How do we know it is centered on the Karma Yoga? We have to look at the context. Look at 38. Sukha dukhe same kritva labha labhau jaya jayau. And then we know that this is what it is talking about. It is talking about doing what needs to be done. Neha, not the name of a woman, okay? Yeah. Na iha. So, na iha abhikrama nashaha asti. Abhikrama means the great undertaking. Abhikrama. Starting of anything is called abhikrama. Abhikrama nasha means a failed undertaking. You start with soda bottle enthusiasm. You shake up a Coca-Cola can or bottle and then open. What happens? Yeah. And then after that, flat. Most beginnings are like that. We start with a great gusto. Lot of enthusiasm. Yes, I'm going to conquer the 3 worlds, Bhuvanatrayam, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Only one problem is there, I don't have money, but doesn't matter. I'll still start. And I'm going to do this, I'm there. We plan big. We start with great aplomb. And then what? Slink away when nobody is looking. Because it did not work. It did not work. So much so for great undertakings, big undertakings, abhikramas. There are so many abhikramas that have just gone flat. And they don't make the light of the day. They are not on Google, because who puts only successful things are on Google and internet. Failed enterprises are not on Google. So, what is wrong with the failed abhikrama? If we ask some scientists, economists, politicians, etc., they will have their own idea. They will say, well, the market was not ready for this product. Some economist may say. And the scientist may say, well, it hadn't been researched properly. There should have been another double-blind study done, and then it would have been all right. The researcher and the scientist would say, so everybody like this will have their own reasons why an enterprise called Abhikrama here did not succeed. The Bhagavad-Gītā has its own reason. Lack of Daivam. Simple. Daivam is the most important factor, which is the line between what we call success and failure, and we saw that just in the evening with the last line, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno, Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha, Tatra Shrihi, and then Vijayaha. Vijaya is there, success is there, Bhutihi, Dhruvanitihi. All this is there, Vijaya is there, success is there, all this is there. And then therefore, the Daiva, this factor is a secret ingredient in all undertakings. That secret ingredient, when it is missing, then what happens? Then the undertaking fails. What does this mean? Bhagavan only favors some undertakings and not others. How mean? How can Bhagavan do this? Well, until Bhagavan is invoked, the undertaking will not be blessed. Why? Because it's already blessed by the individual who has a lot of aplomb and free will and all this, and the person says, I don't need anything, I just need to get going. I have money, I have time, I have the people, I have resources. Resources one may have, but where is the source? That is the thing. The source is missing. And the resource is what? Coming from the source only. And when that is not understood, and when that is not acknowledged, what happens is that the hidden variables are not taken into account. We know Pujya Swamiji's example very well. Person is trying to cross the road and get to the other side. What happens? Looks to the left, looks to the right like a good citizen. And then what happens? Forgot that it is an Indian road. One monkey had eaten the banana and left the skin right there. Monkey business. And then immediately the fellow has an instant skating lesson. Falls, faints, wakes up in the hospital asking fundamental spiritual questions. Why am I here? Where am I? Who am I? This is what the thing is. Person was responsible, looked to the left, looked to the right, did everything possible. Hidden variable. Sometimes the variable is right there in front and one doesn't see. That hidden variable is called Daivam. And that is what makes Karma Yoga extremely successful. Because it is Daivam, 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 Daivam all the way. Without Bhagavan, there is no Karma Yoga. It's not just about being an ethical person. Somebody says, I don't want Ishvara. Some authority issues, that's why no Ishvara. I don't want Ishvara, but what do I want? I'm an ethical person, I'm very dharmic, I'm a Karma Yogi. Bhagavad-Gītā will say, sorry, madam, sorry sir, you are not a Karma Yogi if you are just an ethical person. The first thing we do in Karma Yoga is bring Bhagavan into the picture. Otherwise, how to do Sukha Dukkhe Same Kritva Labha Labho Jaya Jaya? How to do that? It looks nice on paper. Sukha and Dukkha can never be the same. In one I jump, in the other one I sink. How can it be the same? I have totally different reaction. I have to be picked up from the floor. And then what? I need a security blanket. I need to be rocked. I need to rock myself back and forth to comfort myself. How can they be the same? They become the same. There is a hope for making them the same only and only because of the fact that we have Bhagavan there. Bhagavan becomes an altar of surrender to heal the pain and to take care of the hidden variables. That's why even as a charioteer, what did he do? What did the Lord do? All the arrows had to first come to him before they even touched Arjuna. All the arrows came to him. Without that, he could not, Arjuna could not have fought this war without Bhagavan there. And all the arrows first had to touch Bhagavan and then only go there. And then, in those days, there used to be mantra-powered missiles. It had your name on it. It said Arjuna and it was in the shape of a snake. What was it? Nagastra. Shape of a snake. And then if it says Arjuna, it has to go hit Arjuna. How did it know? It was programmed. That's why it is Dwapara Yuga. All these things were there. And then Karna, arch enemy of Arjuna, throws this. What happens? And then it has to hit Arjuna. And Karna is a great warrior. He did not make a mistake in throwing. But it's Lord Krishna driving the chariot. What did he do? He dips the chariot a little bit. it knocks off the crown of Arjuna. And after that, the Nagastra thinks, I have hit Arjuna. I may not have killed him, but I have hit it. And then it self-destructs. It cannot be used twice. Arjuna suffers insult, but not injury. Daivam. That is why, even though Duryodhana had how many? Akshauhini. Akshauhini means what? Units. Units like cavalry, elephantry, foot soldiers, infantry, all this. Those are called Akshauhinis. They had 18 of them. These people had only 11. Arjuna's side, Pandavas had only 11. Those other side had 18 of them. Yet who won? Pandavas won. Daivam. This is what is called Daivam. And without this Daivam, there is no hope for either Karma Yoga, and if there is no hope for Karma Yoga, there is no hope for preparation for Atma Jnanam and the gain of Atma Jnanam either. So Karma Yoga is equal to Daivam. And this factor means what? Hidden variable. And that Bhagavan is in the form of the obstacle. Bhagavan is in the form of the hidden variable which separates me from my goal, from the fulfillment of all my ambitions, my desires, all these things. And so here, the promise is very interesting. The promise is, please follow Karma Yoga as it has been given. Let Bhagavan be front and center in all your activities. So Karma Yoga is not just doing one action after the other. It is the attitude with which all the actions are done, and the attitude is that of prayerfulness. So I grow from a being who knows how to pray to a prayerful being. A prayerful person is the one whose attitude is always full of prayer. Attitude for every action is prayerful. And so, na iha abhikramanashaha asti. If this daivam, this factor of the God factor, we have now what is that in the space? God particle. So this we can call Ishvara factor, God factor. If this God factor is imbibed, if this Karma Yoga is understood properly, then what happens? Abhikramanashaha na asti. So in prayer, because this is just a life of prayer, life of being prayerful, it's not sitting and saying mantras. It's the attitude with which I approach my work, attitude with which I approach my relationships. It's the attitude in which I just give of myself. Whatever roles I have to perform, that is what is Daivam here. I perform that while keeping Bhagavan in view. And when I do that, I cannot fail. No failure is there. Isn't that very nice to hear? It's wonderful. No practice is needed. No failure happens. This won't be yet one more failed enterprise. And who is listening to these comforting words? The jiva who feels like I am a failure. I don't know anything. And whatever I have started has ended in a big zero. I used to think I'll become a hero. But what I have ended up is a big zero. And I'll never get anywhere. This is the jiva. Anybody who comes to Atma Jnanam is in this or worse state. And then one sitting in the class also, one thinks, other people know so much. I don't know anything. Other people do better Karma Yoga. And I don't do nice Karma Yoga. I don't do this. I am not enough. I am not anything. And the one who feels I am not anything cannot get past this discussion, cannot get past chapter 2, unless in the 40th verse, right in the middle of chapter 2, this beautiful gem is there. Na iha abhikramanashaha asti. start Karma Yoga, but I don't know how to do it, I may do it imperfectly. Still, your undertaking, like other undertakings that you may have done before Karma Yoga, because Daivam was not there, now it will not fail. I promise, Bhagavan's promise. It's not the mama next door promising, okay? So, that mama you can say, okay, I don't know if I should believe them. But this is Bhagavan promising. Bhagavan says, na iha abhikrama nashaha. Abhikrama, great undertaking. Nashaha, failure. There is no possibility of failure if you do what you're supposed to do and lean on me. Leave the results to me. How can you fail? You won't fail. Absolute promise that absolutely there is no failure possible in any which way. Failure is not at all possible. But then there could be, supposing one day I forgot to be prayerful when I was doing something. What did I do instead? Lashed out because it was building up and I needed a trusted person somewhere to come in front of me, so that I did a abhisheka of the unconscious onto them, like the abhisheka you saw for Pradosha. The unconscious poured out on top of this person because they were just passing through, and then I just saw them and yelled. All the dravyas came out in the form of words and they had a complete abhisheka. Then what will happen? Ayo, guilt. Oh no, how could I have done this? I just should not have. How did I do this? Now, Bhagavan, I promised Bhagavan I'll be doing this, I'll be doing everything properly, and Bhagavan promised me back, Abhikramanashaha na asti. But now I have made a mistake. I got angry 3 times. I yelled 4 times. I used the words, all the choicest 4-letter words in every language, including Sanskrit. I have used. Now I will get what? Papa. Pratyavayaha na vidyate. Pratyavaya is again another technical term like abhikrama. Pratyavaya is a particular kind of a fault, fallacy, dosha. Pratyavaya dosha. Meaning, in terms of nitya karma, like supposing you have to get up and then you have to do Agnihotra in the traditional sense. In the traditional world, that was it. You do Agnihotra, or you get up and then you light the lamp, Smarta karma. All these things are called nitya karma. So nitya karma, let's say one day you do every day. Nobody is there to give you a reward. No, you don't get any punya. Is that fair? No. But then life is not fair. You are supposed to do what you are supposed to do. If you brush your teeth, will you get punya? No. The very thought is ridiculous. Brushing teeth is nitya karma. Taking shower is nitya karma. If you don't do nitya karma, what will happen? Nobody will sit next to you. No friends will be there. That's what will happen. What is that called? Immediate result. Drishtaphalam. Okay? This is what will happen. But if you brush your teeth and if you are a good person, I have been very good, I am taking shower, I am brushing teeth, are you going to get a reward? No. Nitya karma is like that. If you do it every day, you don't get a reward, but if you don't do it, you will bear the consequences. That consequences of not doing nitya karma properly is called pratyavaya dosha. So that's why the Indian people are very, very frightened if they miss a puja. Oh no, oh no, oh no. This pratyavaya, the sense is coming somewhere. I forgot this. I forgot to light the lamp. I forgot to do naivedyam. I forgot to do the agarbatti. Or I did the naivedyam and then agarbatti. All this, there is an order also. You can't just do whatever you want. And you can't just, say a few for me and then the rest for you. You can't do that. There is all this krama is there. So here, So, because I have done the abhisheka of my unconscious mind onto this unwitting person, will there be papa? No. Karma yoga, imperfectly done, also gives punya. Isn't that nice? That is the next promise here. Pratyavayaha na vidyate. There is no jyuti, there is no dropping from what you have to do. Because you will atone for this, you will yourself feel bad for getting angry at somebody. You will say, especially if you are a jignasu, mumukshu, if you are a spiritual aspirant, if you are a sadhaka, you will say, I don't know what happened to me, I'm really sorry, I should not have done that. And then the next line says, Swalpamapi asya dharmasya swalpamapi trayate. Swalpa means what? Su plus alpa. Swalpa. Swalpa means even a little bit. Little bit. And meaning, even a tiny bit of karma yoga is like a medicine that maintains oneself. That maintains what? Sanity. Let's say I'm not capable of doing karma yoga 24/7, 365. What is 24/7, 365? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. I am not ready. I am not able. I have too much rajas. I have a lot of tamas. I am not able. And I have decided what? Once a week karma yoga is plenty for me where I am. Bhagavan is very generous and says, if you were to say that, Bhagavan would be very generous and say, that is where you start. No problem. Once a week. Okay, then you negotiate a little more. 1 hour once a week. Okay, fine. Swalpamapi, even a tiny bit, thoda bhi, if you have, it's a protective kavacha. Kavacha. Kavacha means an armor. It's like when we do, the puja, you go like this. Bhur bhuvasvaro miti digbandha. Digbandha, that is a kavacha. I'm sanctifying the place, I'm sanctifying the body which is about to sit for puja, I'm sanctifying the energy and closing off any kind of negativity from coming in. That is what this is. That is a kind of a spiritual kavacha. And this is a karma yoga is the best kavacha. From what? Mahato bhayat. Mahato bhayat means from great fear. Fear of what? Fear of karma phala. Not going my way. That is the fear. For any person who is a jnani wannabe, the one who wants to be a jnani is afraid of not getting that. And if somebody who doesn't want to be a jnani also is afraid of not getting what they want, not having what they want, and not getting what one wants is very, 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 very painful. So this karma yoga, you just have a little bit, like how people use attar. What is attar? Scent, fragrance, Little bit, dab, dab. You don't do a lot. You don't want to look like a perfumery coming into the room. A little bit. This karma yoga is like that. Very subtle, but the protection it offers is long lasting. Goes through many cycles of fear and sorrow. Karma yoga hugs you like a long lost brother. Protects you and takes care. Why? Because karma yoga is all about Bhagavan. It is Daivam. How did you like the first promise? Isn't that wonderful? Moving on to 640. Second promise. Second promissory note. Second promissory verse. I went to the 9th chapter, that's the problem, yes. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Partha Naiveha Namutra Vinashastasya Vidyate Nahi Kalyana Krit Kaschit Durgatin Tata Gacchati. Beautiful. The last line is the promise. Nahi, not ever, not indeed. Kalyana Krit. Kalyanam karoti iti kalyana Krit. Kalyanam means what? Auspicious. Kalyana means auspicious. Marriage also is called Kalyana in South Indian languages. Marriage in Tamil, marriage is called Kalyana because they are hoping it will have an auspicious, the couple will live smoothly with an understanding they are hoping. That's why it is called Kalyana, auspicious. The one who does auspicious act, and the auspicious act here is what? Atmajnana, pursuit, most auspicious act. You can do many auspicious acts. You can say, I am the best one who does lot of puja. Nobody other than me does so much puja. You can do puja. Then what else can you do? Ishta karma, purta karma. You can do yajna. You can give away money in charity. All that is not as auspicious as what? Atmajnana, pursuit. So the one who has started the Atmajnana pursuit, Durgatihi, Durgatim Tata. Tata means friend here. Nagachati. Oh dear friend, the one who has started this pursuit will not come to grief, will not be ever ruined. This is the fear. I have started this pursuit. I have given up this, I have given up that, and I am here. 6 months I have been here. I am just focusing on this only. What next? What next? What next? You will not come to grief. You will not come. This is not a waste. Atmajnana pursuit is not a waste. And then this is coming in the context of Arjuna's question. What is going to happen? Arjuna asks a very diplomatic question. Arjuna says, it's just like when you meet a doctor. Actually, it's the fellow who has the problem, the one who has met the doctor. But then he's too shy to say that. Says, my friend has this issue, can you suggest something? In the same way, Arjuna says what? Ayatihi, suppose. Lack of, didn't go to all the classes, missed a few classes, missed many classes, let's say. But full of Shraddha. But somehow slipped off the path of Karma Yoga and also Atmajnanam as a result, because if the preparation is not there, then where is the product? Not possible. Slipped. Such a person is called Yoga Bhrashta. Bhrashta, Yoga Bhrashta. And so, Ayatihi Shraddhayopetaha has a lot of Shraddha. Doesn't say this is all gobbledygook, I will not be redeemed. Has Shraddha. But other blocks are there, other preoccupations are there, other pratibandhas, obstacles are there. Was not able to fully put the mind, to make the effort to gain this knowledge. What will happen to him or her when? After the drop of the body. Let's say such a person dies away, not untimely. Whenever the time comes, dies away. Kangatim tata gacchati. What will happen? to that person's knowledge. Let's say they studied 7 chapters of Bhagavad-Gītā and then suddenly, died, or then died away at some point. Did not finish the Upanishads, did not study fully. Shraddha was there. Chinnabhramiva nashyati kim. Will that person be destroyed like the fog? When the morning sun comes, the fog just dies. The fog is dissipated. In that way, will they just be end up losing everything? And then this is the answer. Na iha, na amutra. Neither here is that person destroyed, or in the afterlife is that person destroyed. Vinashaha tasya vidyate. For such a person who has tried to study Vedanta but not fully succeeded due to lack of effort. Ayatihi, alparthe nanj. The nanj pratyaya, negative pratyaya, is used in 6 different ways, but here it is in the sense of not opposite but less. Like when you complain, alavanam bhojanam. There is no salt in the food. It's not that there is no salt. There is less salt. Here also, it is not that there is no effort. Yatna is there. Ayatna means less effort. Alparthe. Person has made less effort, and then what? For some reason could not complete the pursuit. Will the person just, be lost, and in the next life again start on a blank slate? And the promise here is no. Kalyanakrit. If you have studied Vedanta, it's going to be with you in a subtle form. And then, even if the person gives up the life, in the next life, many things are going to happen. First, has to be born a human being because has to pick up the threads. You can't be born a frog because, what will it? It can't even say Tattvamasi. It can't have, it can't listen to the knowledge. It's jumping around. That's not the correct upadhi for Atmajnana. So number 1 has to have a human life. The second point is what? Has to be born in a conducive family where mantras are chanted, and then where one doesn't have the burden of upkeeping the whole family. Because that becomes very difficult to take to a life of Atmajnana. You cannot, it's like supposing you're the only breadwinner, then what happens? You cannot say, Tata, I'm off. And I'm going to follow Atmajnanam. What about us? Well, bye. You can't do that. So then Bhagavan, that's why says, Shuchinam Shrimatam Gehe Yoga Bhrashtaha Abhijayate. The person is reborn in a clean doesn't mean clean, but antahkarana wise clean, inner purity, in the house of parents and siblings and grandparents, in the family of people who are very sattvic, full of inner purity, Shrimatam, and they are, what is that? They have enough to eat and drink, and they won't miss one person going away in the pursuit of Atmajnanam, because they are not relying on your money to upkeep them. This is very important. Athava yoginam eva kule bhavati dhimatam. Otherwise the prophecy is, Lord Krishna makes, is that what? The person is born to yogis. Straight away. Yogis means karma yogis or jnanis. Straight away. So that then the prapyate, then in the life picks up, in the next life picks up the thread. Pujya Swamiji used to always say, when he started to study the Mundakopanishad, he could tell the next mantra. Somehow he could tell. Because he remembered having studied it in a previous life. So then, this is what happens. Prapya punya chitan lokan ushitva shashvati samaha shuchinam shrimatam gehe yoga bhrashtaha abhijayate. having enjoyed the various realms of heaven because of whatever punya they have done, they will be born in a house that is conducive to the study of Vedanta. Or they will be straight away born to jnanis, karma yogis, etc. And under no circumstances the person who has done a little bit of less effort comes to a failure or grief. Since the first one was about no failure, this also there is no failure in Karma Yoga. And the next verse, what does it say? There is no failure in Vedanta. Whatever was said for Karma Yoga is also applicable for Vedanta. There is no time to begin. There is no great undertaking. There is no failure. Here also, there is no failure at all. Even a little bit of Vedanta protects. I will end with a very beautiful story. I was going with Pujya Swamiji from Mumbai to Ahmedabad one time. And then it was soon after this 911? Yeah, 911, 9/11. Right. Yes. And then in India, of course, already there are very strict security measures on that day. After that, it was not exactly soon after that, but just around that time. So the security measures were just out of whatever. Every two minutes they were frisking, they were just doing this, and they were putting us in another line, one line, another line. How many times? And we were already late to go to the airport. And then it was already getting late. And then there was this huge line snaking through. We couldn't even see the end. We didn't even know how we were going to make it. Pujya Swamiji turned to me and said, "Are we going to make it?" I said, "I don't know, Swamiji. I don't know if we are going to be able to make it." And he said, "Something will happen." And then as soon as he said that, suddenly one man came with a board which said Ahmedabad. And he said, Ahmedabad, come this side, because it was getting late for the flight. And so we all went this side. And imagine, like 10 plane loads of people in one line, and one plane load we were quickly cleared and then made to climb into that one small shuttle which took us to the plane. And Pujya Swamiji was uncharacteristically quiet, sitting in that shuttle and then sitting on the plane also. And I was observing him and I thought, what he must be thinking of, what his mind must be thinking, where is his mind? And then he did not say hardly anything. The whole 1 hour ride, we got down in Ahmedabad. Of course, the plane was late, and then he just freshened up and he had to go give a talk. So the first thing he said was, he talked about mokṣa and everything like this, and then he said, see, if you have studied a little bit of Vedanta, and then supposing the person dies, and then what happens? There is a big assembly line of jivas, rebirth, random rebirth, and this life, that life. And then the people who have studied Vedanta, somebody comes with a board, mokṣa. And then you get into human janma. And then I thought, oh, this is what he was thinking the whole time. Think of our mundane thoughts and think of Mahatma, like Pujya Swamiji. Very, very amazing. So this is what we want. In the second promise, we want to be with the fellow who says, mokṣa, the mokṣa board will be there, and we want to run over there. We don't want to be in the long assembly line of various random jivas, because we don't belong there. That is the next promise. Wonder what the third promise will be. Can't wait to find out. Om Purnamadaഃ Purnamidam Purnāt Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.